Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, TLC Chapter. Don't forget to subscribe and give this episode a thumbs up. Despite the father of sister wives having years ago insisted he never actually loved any of his past wives, Cody Brown has now confessed something surprising. He wasn't serious. Learning this so late in the game probably brings little consolation to his 3 past wives. For years, Cody spoke extremely hurtful words about his wives. To compound the issue, he compared his beloved and 4th wife, Robyn Brown, frequently to the 3 women who preceded her. At its height, Cody had 4 wives and 18 children, but good times were short-lived. By the time Sister Wives Season 19 was released, 3 of those 4 wives had departed from the plural marriage. Although Cody initially accepted polygamy, he and Robyn later transitioned into a monogamous relationship. Recently, he confessed he never wanted to be so heartless with words, even though he insisted over and over that he never loved his previous wives. Cody candidly revealed that Robyn was the only woman he ever truly loved. Back in the day when Sister Wives initially debuted in 2010, the Browns seemed like a happy and complete family. They made it seem to their audience that plural marriage might be a healthy and good way of life. However, despite the intentions of the show, what actually ended up being portrayed was the disintegration of the Brown family. Cody wedded Robyn in that first season, which fundamentally altered the family's dynamics, particularly because he'd already been wedded to Christine, his 3rd wife, for 16 years by then. Christine was indeed the initial wife of Cody to depart. That wake-up moment materialized in a dramatic moment when she said Cody informed her after their wedding that he wasn't interested in her. He also continued to remark that he never loved Meri Brown, his first wife, and went so far as to assert that he was never attracted to her. By insisting he remained in those marriages due to obligation, Cody essentially acknowledged he never loved Janelle Brown either, his 2nd wife. Ultimately, Cody made one thing clear. The only woman he ever actually loved was Robyn. Now, he's finally telling the truth. Those cruel words he uttered earlier, he insists he didn't say them. Nevertheless, over the past few years, Cody has become increasingly hostile towards speaking about his ex-wives, tending to talk negatively about them. Cody even went as far as calling Robyn his soulmate while discussing his sentiments towards her. Although his ex-wives had already exited the marriage, this statement still caused them a lot of hurt. Later, Cody confessed he never intended to be so cruel. On Sister Wives Season 19, he lashed out while coping with his own emotional hurt, exposing that he was in a state of profound self-awareness. For Janelle, Meri, and Christine to finally hear him tell them, that could have been a measure of relief. Is Cody going to add more wives to his life? I don't want to marry another woman, he told me, apparently meaning that he won't stay in a plural marriage. Despite his newfound awareness, Cody indicated in a recent episode of Sister Wives Season 19 that he and Robyn are now fully committed to their relationship. When Robyn asked if he missed plural marriage, Cody provided a very straightforward response. I don't want to be cavalier with my answer, because we were devoted to this, he said. But I'm no longer interested in plural marriage. He went on to add to the cameras, I don't want to date another woman because I don't want that stress, the questions, the struggles, the trust issues. I'm just not in that headspace anymore. Meanwhile, there are indications that Janelle Brown may be willing to get back to love. Though she recently stated that she was done with dating, her demeanor may be changing. Janelle, Cody Brown's 2nd wife, dissolved their almost 30-year polygamous marriage in 2022. They shared 6 children together. When Sister Wives began in 2010, the plan was to highlight the ordinary life of an operating polygamous family. The show had hoped to replace the negative coverage of the news media that habitually centered around child brides and hidden compounds. Sadly, the Brown family later broke up. No one can blame Janelle for not trying to make it work. She devoted her entire adult life to helping bring home the bacon for the family. And yet, she got out with virtually nothing and had to start her life over in her 50s. Though the road ahead was full of sadness and uncertainty, things are beginning to improve. Giving Cody up has given her a fresh start. Even though Janelle previously stated she was done with dating, She has recently made statements indicating she may be willing to give love another chance. Things between Janelle and Cody came to an explosive end. He left her house in a rage after she screamed at him. In their 29 years of marriage, Janelle and Cody usually seem to have a pretty good relationship. Indeed, Janelle always portrayed herself as the least emotional of Cody's wives during the numerous seasons of Sister Wives, which is why their instant coldness in season 18 was so shocking. During that season, the two also had a serious fight over their children. Cody wanted Janelle to keep her elder sons away from the house throughout the COVID-19 pandemic for not adhering to his safety protocols. However, when she did not agree, the altercation turned into an all-out yelling fight at her new rental place. That moment was the beginning of the demise of their relationship, primarily due to the manner in which Cody treated her kids. Janelle was furious. Though Cody was close to Robyn Brown's kids, he hardly spoke to Janelle's. Cody felt irritated that Janelle placed her grown son's desires ahead of his own. He went ahead and severed all ties with some of his older sons, and there was never a reconciliation. When Garrison Brown died under tragic circumstances in March 2024 at the age of 25, Cody wasn't talking to him. By then, Janelle knew she could no longer coexist with Cody. He had long ceased to be her husband, and with the kids of her own grown up, his focus had turned to his younger children with Robyn. Cody justified this by explaining that he had been there when the older children were little, and that the younger ones now required more of him. His other wives, however, were not so sure. By the time Sister Wives season 19 aired, Cody and Robyn were in a monogamous home, mothering their 5 children. Janelle, on the other hand, said she was done with dating. "I love my single life," she expressed. Janelle wasn't the first, and probably won't be the last, to depart Cody. He lost his first wife, Meri Brown, in 2022, and third wife Christine Brown had already split in 2021. Ever since leaving, Christine and Meri have made re-finding love a priority. Christine already remarried David Woolley, whereas Meri continues to be on the search. As far as Janelle is concerned, her appetite for dating diminished. During a sibling revelry podcast interview, the season 19 Sister Wives star made it more than apparent. "I am done," she announced. "I love my single life. If I were to get remarried, perhaps it would be worth having a spiritual divorce." Although Sister Wives season 19's Janelle has said she's content alone, she isn't entirely closed to the possibility of meeting someone new. On the same sibling revelry podcast, she went on to confess she'd be open to new things if they happened. At this point, Janelle might just need time. Her recent divorce and the devastating loss of her son are fresh. Just because her previous sister wives have moved on does not mean Janelle must hurry up and date again. Everyone grieves differently. Has her attitude towards dating changed after divorce? In a promo for an upcoming Sister Wives season 19 episode, Janelle spoke about possibly seeking a spiritual divorce from Cody. Although she and Cody were never formally married, they were spiritually wed through their fundamentalist church. This season, Meri went to the same church and requested to be let out of her covenant with Cody. Janelle didn't think so at the time, but now she's having second thoughts. "I'm not seeing anyone," she said. "But if I did meet someone, I wouldn't want there to be this strange psychological block." She went on to say, "If I were to get married again, perhaps it's worth having a spiritual divorce." Would Janelle try polygamy again? In comparison to her previous sister wives, Janelle really enjoyed the lifestyle. She might be the most likely of Cody's ex-wives to try plural marriage again. Janelle has explained that she did believe polygamy actually worked for her. "I enjoyed not having Cody home every night," she once explained. She enjoyed the freedom that it provided and liked having other mothers nearby to assist in watching her children when she was at work. Though Janelle might look back on polygamy fondly, the Sister Wives season 19 cast member might reconsider before giving it another shot. Perhaps Cody's distance from their union had more to do with their connection than the structure. They did not enjoy a lot of joy, and Cody was high maintenance many times when he was present, as Janelle often complained. If she were going to remarry a man whom she really cared for, then maybe she'd wish that guy were present much more frequently. The once crown pillar of a very unorthodox sized family is now reaping the consequences of his past. And in a dash of regret, self-reflection, and grudging honesty, members of what was formerly a tight-knit family have been left emotionally traumatized after years of grappling with the intricacies of plural marriage. But recent disclosures have again thrust them into the spotlight. For years, the subject of this tale unabashedly asserted that he had genuine emotions for just one of his wives. He characterized the others as relationships based solely on duty and obligation. His words sting like knives, destroying the feelings of the women who had stood by him. Decades, if not their whole adult lives, had been spent by many building a life together with him, only to have it all rendered useless with a few words. When the family initially opened their lives to cameras, they provided a glimpse into a way of life that was foreign to most people and rare and intimate. They presented themselves as a vision of loving and working plural harmony. Each wife contributed her own strengths and sacrifices, navigating the challenges of mutual affection, time sharing, and shared parenting. Their common husband offered them stability, emotional security, and firm leadership. But beneath the highly constructed smiles and camera-pleasant scenes, stronger currents of favoritism and disappointment were festering. Following some years of stability with not much change, the arrival of a new wife subtly but undeniably changed the family's dynamics. Over time, the cracks started to appear, particularly for the initial wives, who saw blatant favoritism in simple gestures, the way attention was allocated, and even holiday and home life decisions. One woman, especially, had a painful wake-up call when her boyfriend admitted that he had never been drawn to her, not even initially. Eventually, both ex-wives would come to tell their own tale of heartbreak. What was initially viewed as a divine calling started to feel more like a long-term sacrifice. One woman was informed their relationship was only for practicality. Another was told there was no true romantic love. Still, another was informed that true attraction never existed. Those words, spoken out loud as they were, caused profound emotional pain. However, at the time, the individual uttering them expressed little to no regret. A story emerged, one in which one woman stood as the unequivocal exception to all others. She was adoringly touted as his ideal mate, his friend, his authentic foil, his spiritual mate. The juxtaposition between his treatment of her and the rest wasn't nuanced. It was striking. The cameras documented instances of profound presence, lingering smiles, and unwavering defense. In contrast, the other women were greeted frequently with silence, disinterest, or even open criticism. It was only a matter of time before tiny cracks became wide fissures, ones that could not be healed. What was once a blended, multi-home family slowly broke apart into individual, single household lives. And so it was. The man who had once espoused the merits of plural marriage found himself living by himself in a single home, with only one wife still by his side. Then came a surprising moment of candor. He recently confessed that most of the cruel things he had said weren't all true. When he said he never loved his former wives, it was, as he now understands, a judgment made in anger and frustration. His feelings got the best of him, and those hurtful words left deep wounds. It was a shocking revelation of weakness from a man who had so frequently protected himself behind a mask of control and moral superiority. No, this confession didn't cure the hurts of the past or erase the scars that his previous wives bear. But it opened the door to a new type of conversation. It was not necessarily an apology, but it was a concession. An admission that their heartache, betrayal, and experiences were true and real. His view had changed. The framework he previously admired, the one he had publicly constructed and advocated for, no longer appealed to him. He had no inclination to become involved in another plural relationship. What previously invigorated him now felt draining and empty. In a flash of lucidity, he described the emotional burden, the perpetual uncertainty about loyalty and honesty, and his yearning for peace as motivations for leaving that existence. Quietly, the sole wife still with him asked if he still missed the old life, the dynamic they had had. He replied promptly and quietly, the wistfulness had passed. The romance of times past was no longer sufficient. And instead of hanging on to nostalgia, he looked back at the commitment they had all once shared toward a shared objective, something that no longer defines him today. His transformation has not been overnight. It's been incremental, guided more by the bitter realities of loss than by any profound spiritual epiphany. All he has left now is a mirror, one that holds up all he once refused to see. When those who once referred to you as partner, friend, or leader choose to depart, what remains is not a mutual existence, but the silence in its wake. He is no longer at the center of a busy, multi-wife home. Now, standing on the quieter side of the tempest, he no longer manages a hectic schedule full of birthdays, anniversaries, or midnight heart-to-hearts. He no longer juggles multiple spouses' emotional needs. The only things remaining are the effects, and the possibility of sitting with them in stillness and pondering previous decisions. In the meantime, his ex-wives have reinvented themselves beyond the parameters of that marriage. One has become emotionally independent and individuated. The other has thrown herself into work and raising children. And a third has fallen in love again, with a man who believes in monogamy and respect. Although they no longer live together, share a last name, or even the same belief system that brought them together, their common experience binds them together for life. Maybe, rather than holding on to anger, they'll gain clarity, the kind that only comes from enduring heartbreak and regaining personal truth. One woman is now at a crossroads, between the agony of her past and the hope of her future. Janelle, who had once been so deeply invested in a joint marriage, now leads an entirely different life. Although she had once closed the door on romance firmly, her recent words and deeds indicate it may be gradually opening up once more. She was a loyal partner in a household that pushed her patience, loyalty, and sense of self for decades. She started from a place of spiritual faith and a desire for family peace. But genuine equality and enduring connection were always just beyond grasp. Time, neglect, and an unbalanced dynamic ultimately eroded the foundation, until she made the empowering decision to choose herself. She didn't go quietly. There were sparks prior to departure. Reputed to be a calm and measured person in times of conflict, her departure was anything but. There were raised voices, heightened emotions, and suppressed frustrations that finally boiled over into confrontation. The last straw was the manner in which her children, particularly her sons, were being treated. The man who had once been her husband insisted on imposing strict rules in the midst of a worldwide health emergency, driving a wedge between him and their adult sons. Her refusal to fall in line only widened the emotional chasm. She stood up for herself, because she could no longer endure the loss of love and respect. So she decided to start anew, albeit alone, but not broken. What ensued was nothing short of miraculous. The second she decided on independence, something in her flared up. Her light had been doused by years of compromise, but now it was back, burning brighter than ever before. She learned that being alone was different from loneliness. Silence superseded chaos, and freedom set in. She started speaking more candidly, exhibiting confidence in interviews and public appearances. She was accepted into her role as a mother to adult children and redirected her energies toward creating a satisfying life of her own, one focused on personal development, emotional health, and economic independence. Originally, when questioned about love, she held firm. She was not interested in dating or romance, affirming happiness in a life unencumbered by marital responsibilities or emotional attachments. Her statement, "I love my single life," was uttered with conviction. Even the strongest beliefs will weaken over time. People paying close attention to her journey noticed subtle changes in tone, subtle shifts in the way she spoke about love. In newer interviews and relaxed conversations, what she said contained a gentleness that had previously been lacking. Although she continued to appreciate being single, more recent personal loss, particularly the devastating death of one of her sons, possibly made her acutely sensitive to the finitude of life. In a soft, sincere moment, she revealed that she wasn't proactively looking for love, but wouldn't say no to it either. Something were to happen, was how she put it. She wouldn't close her eyes. In a meaningful discussion, she also had a talk with her ex about finding spiritual closure. Their common faith had previously served as the foundation of their relationship. Even though their relationship had been legalized through a mutual faith ritual, it had never been legalized. Today, Janelle indicates that should the right partner come along, she would legally and formally dissolve that bond. This isn't merely a faint hint. Her goals and latest musings speak of an additional level of preparation. Even though she doesn't present as someone who is ready to jump into a new relationship, she's talking more candidly about what she desires, what she's missing, and what she's hoping for. Janelle has also admitted that she's still grieving, not just the end of a long-term relationship that ultimately didn't work out for her, but also the tragic loss of her son. Her candor is a reminder that healing doesn't proceed in a linear fashion, but in that suffering is strength, the courage to envision new things, to see what love might be like if it were constructed on mutual respect, shared humor, and authentic trust. Would she go back to the way of life she had known? Once, Janelle was a strong supporter of plural marriage. She really believed in its advantages. The individual autonomy it provided her, the mutual parenting duties, and the relief of not having to entertain a husband every night. Whereas other women in the household grappled with the challenges of plural living, she would frequently champion for it. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, more daily updates. See you next time.